Bryce, thank you so much for joining the Syrn Media Info session. We're so excited to talk about the grant for AT&T Untold Stories program. Before we begin, can you just go ahead and introduce yourself and your role at Tribeca?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Bryce Norbitz. I'm formerly the director of scripted programs at TFI, the nonprofit arm of the festival. As that's not currently operating, I'm overseeing two of our programs that have carried over under the festival banner, which are AT&T Untold Stories that we'll talk about today, and Through Her Lens with Chanel as a partner. That's our women's filmmakers short program. That's a lab and a grant that happens every fall. So that's my current role at Tribeca.
Both amazing, amazing programs, but we're excited to talk about AT&T Untold Stories. Can you share a little bit about the mission and history of that program specifically?
Yes, we're in our fourth year, which means there have been three completed feature films out of the program, which is incredible. I almost can't believe we are still doing it, but it's had some great successes, and here we are back for year four. If not for the pandemic, it would be year five. But it's the origin story has some lore to it. That there was the head of Tribeca, the head of AT&T. They had a few drinks somewhere. They got to talking. What's real support? And
Mm.
Tribeca said, "What about $1 million?" And AT&T said, "Okay." So I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know if it was really exactly like that, but that's the spirit of it. We have a lot of grants, there's a lot of production prizes, but what does it look like if you're fully backing a film that is chosen in this way? And how can you use that film, that filmmaker, to help move the needle toward a more diverse and equitable film industry? So that's the mission of the program. We're looking for filmmakers that are not statistically represented, especially in the classic Hollywood sense, but also in independent film. And here we are, three feature films later. We have a slate to show that this work is great and needs to be out there.
So first of all, excuse me.
Yeah, that's a very cute sneeze that you have.
We might edit that. Um, so it's amazing to think about the fact that one, the folklore around it is just really, really interesting. But also the idea that, $1 million for an indie film from maybe a first feature director or a second feature director, could be their entire budget. And so that really truly is substantial support. Speaking of that, can you just speak a little bit to the types of projects you're looking to support? What budget level, if you are looking at that $1 million budget level, higher, lower, and what production stage?
So we do want the films to be right around $1 million, because that is an essential part of the program, is that all of the financing comes through this prize unless it's soft funds. Soft funds meaning things that don't have to be returned, like grants, crowdfunding, donations, in-kind support. So all of the films that have come through have made their film for $1 million, plus some of them have had some grants and in-kind and done their own crowdfunding to raise a little bit above that. So we do want films that are right at that $1 million mark. We want films that have been through a few stages of the development process, because if you win, you basically go right into pre-production, because the goal is to premiere at the next Tribeca. So films that are their first draft, maybe second draft, probably not a fit for the program. Films that don't have a director, not eligible. We're looking for films that, if they don't have a producer, they're in conversations with producers, they're in conversations with creative team, maybe starting to think about cast. So we want some of that legwork to be done. So if it's $1 million this year in June, you can just kind of hit the ground running. In terms of content genre, super wide open. We want representation of all genres in that final pitch group for sure. And things that really don't fit in a box tend to be the ones that do really well in this program. And more toward the like PG-13 light R. I think probably two of the films that have come through would be an R rating, but we're avoiding heavy drug use, nudity, language, anything that's on the further end of that spectrum, probably not a fit for us. But in terms of content, we really are wide open. And we kind of say, you know, if you can't just walk into a pitch meeting and sell it, like that's probably the film we're looking for, like that the logline can't get you in the door, or it's something you've had in the drawer for a long time and maybe now it feels kind of fresh and in the zeitgeist in a different way. Those are the ones that are the best fit for the program.
Mm, that's amazing. It's kind of as though AT&T is coming in and Tribeca as the sole equity in a sense, so that you don't have to go out and find equity funding. You can
That's
use
it.
some other grants to put it together, but they want you to be able to just run with it, which is
Yeah.
amazing.
And Tribeca fills that role. So the filmmaker doesn't really have to do a lot of work with AT&T in the granular sense. Tribeca is there to kind of provide that support of like, how do you work with your equity partner in a way that allows you to keep your creative control over the project, but together get a lot of press, marketing, big push behind it, and some good distribution.
That sounds like a pretty ideal situation. Is there an ideal type of filmmakers that you're looking to support? You know, any level of filmmaker experience? Are you looking for that first time feature, or are you looking for someone who has a little bit more experience under them?
I say of the part of the filmmakers that have participated in the pitch, the vast majority it's their first feature. We've had a few second feature, and the cases where their first feature was super micro budget, or it was a work for hire. It wasn't really their work or their passion. Maybe it was done internationally, didn't get any US distribution. I think there's ways that we can kind of contextualize like what it does. It has a first feature launched your career in a US setting? And if the answer is like no, then you're still eligible for the program. And we're looking for filmmakers that can demonstrate through their previous work, whether it's shorts or digital space or whatnot, that they can deliver a high quality film for the budget in the time frame. So it doesn't mean that you need to have like award-winning festival shorts. All of that is great and really helpful, but we're looking for a really clear, distinct visual eye with a skill set that proves that you can carry the feature. So send us whatever, you know, like we ask for previous work in the application. We don't need your highest budget thing. We need the thing that represents you the most and can kind of put your artistic stamp out into the world that would match the script. You know, it's a puzzle piece. It's like you have the experience level that fits what you're submitting, and there's a big difference between somebody submitting us like a big action film or like a two-hander in an apartment. So it's all in context.
That makes sense. Also, the fact that you're giving support to really facilitate how someone can deal with an equity partner, that kind of thing is a learning experience. So someone
Yeah.
who may not have had that type of experience in the US specifically really would be able to benefit from it from a learning perspective.
Yeah.
You know, it is a really unique and hands-on program. I'd like for you to speak a little to the timeline for the winner. Like you said, you know, once they get it, you want them to go. But from application to project completion and distribution, what's the timeline of the program for the winner?
So in the original iteration of the program, it's guaranteed premiere at Tribeca, in fact, required premiere at Tribeca. So if you were winning the pitch in April, a normal Tribeca year, you're shooting in like August, September, October to deliver, to be able to premiere, but also to be able to give a first look window to Warner Media. That's part of the
Okay.
distribution strategy is they take a short first look window, which is great. There's so many platforms under Warner Media, including HBO and many other things. So if that's a fit for the film, that's a great direction to go in. If not, you need that time to get your sales agent and get your distribution strategy together before your premiere. So I think the past few films have shot September and October, and it's tight, you know, that's tight, but it's always going to be tight within the year. In this year, because of COVID, I think it's going to be more of a conversation of like how do we get you to the premiere? Can it be the next year? Let's just kind of take the world as it's coming and take those restrictions as it's coming, and make sure that everything is done safely so nobody's rushing in a way that wouldn't be safe or regulated to hit that premiere date. So I think it'll be a little bit more of a hands-on conversation this year.
That sounds like an opportunity for certain filmmakers who might actually be looking for a little extra time as well. So something to keep in mind for those of you who are thinking of applying. Can you elaborate a little bit on the live pitch aspect of it? How many people watch live, who served in the jury in the past, and how you're going to do that this year in this virtual world?
Yeah, it's crazy. So you pitch in like a proper studio setup, and you walk through a door and the jury's right there, and the jury has been Lee Daniels, Len Amato and Sheila Nevins, both previously of HBO, Mira Nair, Alana Glazer, Anthony Mackie, Katie Holmes. Like, so the idea is that you have executives working in development at a high level, you have directors and writers, you have actors, sort of covering the spectrum, so that, you know, when they get into that jury room, they all have a different perspective. And so it's pretty cool. A lot of the jurors have actually gone on to work in some way with the pitch participants that haven't won, just because there was a total alignment of what they were looking to do. So um, that has been just an extra benefit. But the pitch itself, 10 minutes, filmed, live streamed, with 10 minutes of questions from the jury. More like 5 minutes of questions for the jury, but it always sort of is in that range. You can have your visuals, you can show footage, you can have a screen behind you so you can show part of your lookbook. And we work together to make sure those materials are really, you know, pitching your project in the most accurate and dynamic way. But then the live stream, I mean, I think there's about maybe 10, 20,000 people that watch it live, but then it stays up. So by the end of the month, it's like over 100,000. One of them is still up now and gaining numbers. It's also just, I think, a huge benefit for filmmakers. If you don't win, you have a 10-minute recorded pitch that's like of a very high quality,
Right.
and you're answering really smart, relevant questions. You can use that, you can send it out, you can put it in other grant applications, market applications, you can send it to financiers that you're pitching. It exists and it's done and packaged. So I think that's another benefit to having it recorded, and it's just great promotion.
It is good promotion. I can think even at the very least, if you decide to crowdfund, you have a wonderful pitch to be able to do so with, you know, added credibility of the people who you're pitching to. And so people should believe in it. Um, Even if it's, you know, regular folks as opposed to another executive.
Yeah.
So can you speak a little bit, you talked about the fact that once they've gone through, you want some flexibility with the distribution and you're kind of playing it by ear, but after they go through and they say, okay, well, does it fit one of the Warner Media
Mhm.
uh, properties in that first look deal? Is there any other distribution element after the project is completed that people need to think of? And if, and even if it does go to Warner, when do the rights go back to the winning filmmaker?
Okay, so answer to that is 5 years. If it goes to Warner, it reverts back, including all revenue streams. And if it doesn't go with Warner, there's support from Tribeca and AT&T in a few ways. Obviously, festival distribution strategy, sales strategy is a big part of this. Everybody works together to make sure that we get the film distributed, but also a guaranteed 1 week limited theatrical in New York or LA, so you can awards qualify. So if you're a few months past your premiere, you don't have a distributor, we want to make sure that that opportunity is available to you. So that is part of the guarantee of the program.
That really is full spectrum support and kind of amazing to hear. Let's switch to the application itself. So what application materials are needed to apply for this opportunity?
Uh, Logline synopsis, treatment script. So all the different word counts of what that is. And then an artistic approach statement, a topic summary statement, a timeline, a statement on inclusivity, a statement on audience intended distribution strategy, um, and then the director's previous work, bios. So top sheet budget. So it's the puzzle piece, right? Of like, is the script, does it match the artistic approach? Does what is rising off the page, what you think is rising off the page and what you intend it to be, assuming that there will be some creative support. if selected after two. Does the budget match what's on the page? If you're calling for a lot of special effects, does the artistic statement say why they're practical or why they're CGI? Is that reflected in the budget? Like, so it's all, we need all of these elements together to know the full picture of the film.
Okay, and can a project apply if it's already received any financing or funding, or a partner's already, thinking about coming on board, or is it kind of just full AT&T Tribeca taking that over,
Yeah.
aside from grant financing?
If it's soft funds, absolutely, they can apply. If it's something that they are not fully vested in or they haven't signed on the dotted line, they want to have the conversation, we welcome the conversation, but we do want everybody to know that that is a strict parameter of the program.
Okay. Is there a part of an application that you would encourage an applicant to pay close attention to? I realized when you were speaking just now, you mentioned uh, that it needs to speak to inclusivity, and that wasn't something that was top of mind necessarily, but what are the areas of the application that you'd say really pay close attention to this?
Yeah, well, and the inclusivity statement is very important because that is a mission of the program. It's really the mission of the program, and there's no drop down menu. You're not kind of checking a box of demographics. It's open ended. So we want to hear about writer, director, producer, cast, everybody else in the crew, and just holistically why you feel this is a DEI project. So that is, I think, an important part of it, as well as that artistic approach I mentioned, because for me, it's the director part. Not everybody has the budget and time necessarily to put together a mood reel or a beautiful lookbook or be able to, get the rights to some images they want to use, etc. So the artistic approach is the written way to express the look and feel of the film and why you're using certain storytelling devices and approaches to best thematically explore what you're exploring. So I love that statement. That statement means a lot to me, as well as the treatment, which I think people get a little bit feel trapped in a treatment, like it's just 2 pages of text and it's kind of dense. I think the treatment should kind of like sing a little bit, like I always use the example of the winning film Lucky Grandma. The way their treatment opened was it was like the noises that you hear in the street, the colors that you see, the smells of the food of Chinatown. And it was like a really cool stage setting before they even got into the beats of the story. And if your movie's a comedy, your treatment should be kind of funny. If it's a suspenseful film, your treatment should be written a little bit in that way where you're on the edge of your seat. Like, I really think there's so much more to a treatment, and you can include images and character descriptions and take liberties with it because you're uploading a document. Like, upload whatever you want as long as it's in the page count. So I think those are 2 areas to really spend a lot of time with.
Beautiful. Just the idea of keeping things in alignment with what the heart of your story is.
Yeah.
Is there a common mistake that you see often that you're just kind of like, oh, I wish people really wouldn't do this thing, because it's a little faux pas that happens often from applicants
Yeah.
for Untold Stories?
Yeah, when their script says like Sundance submission, we don't love that. But I think there is something about, check your materials, like make sure that they're right for this program because it's not a screenwriting lab, it's not a producer's lab, it's not a straight grant. This is $1 million production prize. So understanding the limits of the budget, understanding the limits of the timeline, understanding the distribution strategy, like there's a statement on distribution. If it doesn't accurately acknowledge that first look window, you haven't really read up on the program, and it's really just 1 page of stuff to read on the website. So I think not really knowing what you're applying for is a faux pas, and I think also not showing any sense of flexibility is a faux pas, like saying, I absolutely have to use this location, this date, this actor, whatever. It doesn't always necessarily work out, and that worries me a little bit about entering into a partnership with a filmmaking team if if the application is just full of hard lines.
That makes sense. I mean, it's a partnership that you're entering into, and so you have to be able to give and take if you want that kind of opportunity. That makes total sense. If a project has applied to the program before, they didn't get in, should they apply again? Can they apply again?
They can definitely apply again. And I recommend that they just talk about the evolution, because some of the team reviewing the projects will be the same. A lot of the team will be different. So I think that is important for people to know. You're not just sending in the same submission to me over and over and over again. Like there's a lot of eyes on all of the submissions, and there's different stages of selection committees. So that's one thing. So don't feel intimidated, I would say, by that. But showing evolution, just, this is a hard, weird year for everybody. There's maybe only so many things that can happen on a project. But if you haven't turned over a new draft in a year and a half, that
Yeah.
gets thinking, is this really a project that you're, so ready to make right now? If you haven't made inroads toward bringing in other team members, etc. So like, what has changed since last time you applied that would get me more excited about the momentum of the project?
And that speaks to really how the person would be in their work with you. Are they willing to continue to grow the project as they work with you? So that's definitely something for people to think about. This is such an amazing opportunity. It's $1 million. You can get your film made, you get the support, you get sales strategy from TFI. It's really the interesting, it's a full throated grant and award. And I'd like to know, is there a type of project that you would encourage not to apply? Because this could really make a difference for someone. And so what is there a group that you'd say, okay, let's not apply for this program?
Yeah, I think if you're not really excited about the distribution potential, it's not a program for you, because that's guaranteed. If you're not creatively ready, if you want to spend another year or so with your project, this will rush you right into it. So it's not a program for you. If it does have that kind of hard R line of like, I can't take these things out and it still be my story, then it's not right for you. And I think if you can't thoughtfully answer the inclusivity statement, it's not a program for you.
That's amazing. Would you mind really quickly just sharing some success stories of the program?
Oh yeah, we're batting 100. Is that the metaphor, the sports metaphor? There's 3 films that have come through. They're all incredible. That's better statistics than most production companies, in my opinion. But they're
Right.
Nigerian Prince, which was New York Times Critics Pick. It opened Black Star. It's available many platforms streaming. Please watch it. Excellent film. And Lucky Grandma. It was on a lot of like the best of the year list this year. It's distributed through Good Deed Entertainment. It's available to watch in a lot of places, and it's just such a unique, fascinating film. And then Marvelous in the Black Hole premieres at Sundance on January 31st, because the schedule is all a little off and they got into Sundance. We're like, hell yeah. So it's a great platform for them. And so that'll be on its festival cycle this year. All very different films, genre, tone, artistic approach, quite different in all 3 of them, but all I would recommend watching to anybody. Yeah, success.
Bryce, thank you so much for giving us your time and just for telling our filmmakers more about the AT&T Untold Stories workshop. We appreciate your time and your advice, and we look forward to seeing what happens with this.
Thank you. On the bottom of the website, there's an info at email. I'm checking, so please, if you have questions, comments, concerns, you can get to me there. And applications are due February 22nd.
February 22nd. Thanks so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.